Take a look at these three logos. What do you see on each of these designs that makes them great? There is something that has been designed in each of these logos to make them great. If you didn't know, it's called balance. The biggest trick that I know when it comes to great logo design is using balance and symmetry to your benefit. In fact, take a look at the McDonald's arches. This was very cleverly designed. It's symmetrical. That means that in our human brain that we only have to really look at one side and our brain will guess on the other side, making it an easy and complete design. If we take a look at the Apple logo, we can see that it is not symmetrical. In fact, if we try to make it symmetrical, this is what we would end up with if we try to make the Apple logo symmetrical. But the Apple logo is still balanced. It still feels great. In fact, the bite of the Apple logo is so tastefully done that it makes sense to have it in there. Fun little fact, when Rob Janoff designed the Apple logo, the reason why he added a bite in there was to stop it from looking like a cherry when it didn't have the bite in there. But the Apple logo is inherently balanced. What about Target's logo? It is literally two circles with the word Target at the bottom. It is inherently balanced. If we look at each side of the logo where we put a guide in the middle, you can see that it's a mirror copy. Here's a stranger example. Look at the Sony Vaio logo. If we were to put a guide in the middle here, it isn't symmetrical, but it is balanced. So number one, why do we like balance as humans? There are many articles that you can read online about balance, but humans tend to like symmetry. It alludes to order and calmness when we do have symmetry, and that's why we use grid systems to create balance for us. To prove the point, I will literally create a square like so. Let's maybe mess around with it like this, create this triangle. We can go up in Illustrator to repeat. We could do a radial repeat, and we can see how easy it is to create a mark that people will like straight off the bat very easily. It just looks nice because of the balance that we have. Look at that, very quick and easy. Because the logo or the design is balanced, it gives a sense of wholeness. It makes us easily identifiable at small scales and glanceable. Now here's some of my older logos that I've worked on over the past few years. Let's test this out. Here's Scroller Box. This is a logo type that I worked on. Now this is not symmetrical, but it's inherently balanced. So how do we know what is inherently balanced and how do we make sure that our designs follow this simple trick? The easy method is called the box method. In design, we break down our designs through grids most of the time. And a logo needs to fit inside of a grid for it to work most of the time. So what we have is an invisible box around each design. Let me explain this. For Scroller Box, I'm going to draw a box around it like so. We know it's balanced because when I fit this rectangle around it, there's enough distribution in the background here. You see this? It's perfectly away where it's just balanced. It fits nicely in there. Now, if I take Scroller Box's logo and do something quite drastic to it, like for instance, if I just move box like so, you'd instantly realize that it doesn't look great because it doesn't fit in the box. And when I take away this box here, it looks out of place. And it looks out of place because it doesn't balance itself out. Here's another way of testing whether something is balanced or not. I'm going to take my logo, I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to go up to Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur. I'm going to just blur the heck out of this logo. When we do this and we scroll out and go in, we can see if there is an even distribution of mass inside the design. Now, for typography, the way that we actually view and read words isn't by shape, but by mass. By that, I mean, it isn't the outlines that we're looking at, it's the actual mass, the color as we call it in typography, which is everything inside. So when we look at a blurred version of our work like this, we can see that it works nicely when it's blurred because it's balanced well. There's an even distribution there and we don't have to read it. Well, what about if I was to use that bad version and then we try to balance it? So let's make it even weirder, right? So let's try and like do this. Let's apply that Gaussian blur again. We can see that there's an uneven mass across this design there. Before I go into any more detail about this, I just want to thank really quickly the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. If you're a graphic designer or someone who's learning graphic design, it's so important to have your own portfolio. Now, Squarespace is amazing for you because you don't need to know code at all. You can just use your design skills to create your own website. With thousands of award-winning, fully customizable templates, Squarespace is the website builder for you, not only because you can put your portfolio on there, but you can have your own online shop. You can create your course on there to make some side income. They even have a place for you and your clients to communicate if you need to. They have a contact form. It's incredible. Now, if you use my link down below or on screen, you will get 10% off your first purchase with Squarespace and also a free trial to use it. So you can design your website even before you paid for it, make sure it looks cool and you like it, then you can make the jump. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Okay, let's try another example of my logo. You see this, I'm going to get rid of its circle. This circle surrounding it, I call it the graphic device. It just surrounds it. And we all know that my logo isn't symmetrical. However, it is balanced. The way I know that is that I can actually draw a box around my design like so, a square box, and it will be very balanced in between the vertical axis and the horizontal. It takes up as much space in each of these quadrants here, which means that the human eye can see it better. Now, if I go ahead and simply reflect this, so if I press O, Option, and click and reflect and copy, it's going to look very strange and different. That symmetry doesn't look as good as this balance here. The way that we have to work as designers is to not always use symmetry. Symmetry isn't the thing for everything, especially typography. What we have to do is realize how balance affects things. So the space here actually is very balanced towards the same size as this box here. It follows, but it has a leading object, which is this W part here. Take this Appian logo, for example. This icon is fully symmetrical and it looks great. This is one example of me using pure symmetry to make the design look great. However, the logo type isn't symmetrical, but it is balanced. Boom. We put the balancing around the logo type and it fits. How do we know where to place the icon? Well, we can fit a invisible box, just like we did there, around this design, making sure it's in the center of it. And this is what the simplification is of the balancing. We can balance our designs through using this invisible box method. This dictates to us the outer edges of all of the design and the mass inside of it. So when we look at the logos from McDonald's and Target and Apple, and we go, how do we get to that point of designing amazing logos? Number one, these logos are amazing because they've been marketed to us a lot. There are plenty of logos out there that aren't being marketed to you, but they are genius. Two, they use one of the pillars of graphic design, balance. Humans love balance, humans love order, repetition, and that is what is here. Even in Target's logo, we have repetition and order. Everything has a place. Some repetition inside of the Sony Vaio logo. This one that I just designed really quickly, a lot of repetition in an order, which gives balance. So there you have it. Every good icon or logo, including the logo type sometimes, the type part of it, is using balance to make the design seem more orderly and professional. It really closes the gap on amateur and professional design. Such a simple concept, but not used enough. If you enjoyed this video, please press the subscribe button down below. It means the world to me. And also share this video with people who may not even know about this little trick that is seldom used. When I say seldom used, a lot of people do use it without realizing, but when you do realize the power of this trick, which I thought most people did, but they don't, then it will change the game for you forever. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you enjoyed this one, you'll definitely enjoy this video over here.